Lua supports 4 different kinds of loops. We are just briefly going to go over the loops here, and then we'll take a look at an example of using a couple of these loops. First, we have a while loop. It works pretty much how you might expect a while loop to work if you've ever programmed in a programming language that uses while loops. You specify a Boolean expression, and what is between the do and end repeats until that condition is false. Then we have the repeat loop, which is pretty much the same thing as a while loop except reversed. What comes after repeat and before until is repeated until a Boolean expression is false. This means that the body of the loop will execute at least once. This is very similar to a do-while loop in other programming languages. Next up, we have for loops. There are actually 2 kinds of for loops in Lua, and these for loops are probably a bit different than what you're used to because they do behave differently than for loops in many other programming languages. First is the numeric for loop. You may be used to the form of having an initializer, condition, and then a step, but this for loop is a bit different. In Lua, you first specify a variable that will be the start of the loop, the end condition of the loop, and then a step, with the step being optional. It'll default to 1 if you don't specify it. So in Lua, you specify what number to start at, what number to end at, and the step to get there. And you may be surprised to find that all 3 expressions are evaluated at the same time and only once at the beginning of the loop. In many other languages, the condition is evaluated on each iteration, and the step is executed then as well. But in Lua, all 3 parts are evaluated at once. The other kind of for loop is the generic for loop. We aren't going to go too far into the details of this kind of loop for now because you need to understand iterators first. But this kind of loop allows you to traverse through all the values returned by what is called an iterator function. An iterator function is basically just a function that you can repeatedly call to get a new value. You can think of it as iterating through values in a list or some other type of structure. There are some built-in iterators in Lua, like the ones that let us traverse all the values in a table. If you've ever used a for each type of loop in C# or Java, you'll find this kind of for loop to be a very similar concept.